Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about some common organizing mistakes and how to fix them. One common mistake is copying what you see online and what other people are doing in their homes. This will never work for your home because every single home is different and what you're storing in it is unique. While it may be great to take some inspiration from what we see online and even in store ads and think about how that could work in our home, it's not the best idea to copy exactly what we see or rush out and buy organizers that are pretty expensive without doing your own research. So how to fix this? Think about how you function in your own home, where you enter your home, the areas that get used the most, what you don't like to see, what you do want to see, and then create an organizational system around that based on what you like. So you might like clear bins, or you may not want to see everything that's in a bin. I know personally, I like to not see what's in the bins if I'm going to be seeing the bin. So if it's out on a shelf where I'm going to see it, I don't really want to see what's in there. But if I'm storing stuff in my garage where I don't really care what that looks like, I prefer clear bins because then I can easily see what is in each bin. So it's just going to depend on your own personality and how you like your home to look and how it functions for you. I put all of these organizing and decluttering tips and tricks into a convenient checklist. So click the link in the description box below to get this sent straight to your inbox. Next is not having drop zones. So we all enter our home, maybe through the garage, maybe through the front door, maybe the side door, who knows? It's all different for every single person's home. But we need to have convenient drop zones for wherever you enter your home because you might have a lot of stuff with you. Maybe you're someone who doesn't, but most people have a lot of stuff. You might have a purse or keys or a dog leash, school backpacks. Just come up with a system that is going to give you an area to quickly drop things that you use all the time. I like to store my hat by the front door because if I'm going out for a walk or I want to go eat lunch outside, I know that my hat is right there waiting for me and I don't have to go all the way into my bedroom and get my hat out of the closet. I have it right there where I can conveniently put it away. So think about those things that you use all the time and make a drop zone for them. This could be hooks that are open for everyone to see, but if you're someone who doesn't want to see all that stuff, this might be hooks that you put into a closet, or maybe one of those seats that you can sit on, but also it opens up and you have bins that you could put stuff in. It's all going to depend on your personality and how you like your home to look. But having drop zones will help to keep your home organized. Next is not using all the space that you have available in your house. Some of us live in really big houses with a lot of built-in storage opportunities, and some of us don't. So it depends on how big your space is and what you have already built in, and that will really dictate how much you need to add. But sometimes we don't think outside of the box and we don't take advantage of all the different areas in our home. So one area is under your bed. When my husband and I were renting a small condo, we had to use every single space we could find. Under the bed, we added a whole shelving unit to a large area of our bedroom, and we just had bins in there, and that's where we had to put our clothes because we didn't have a closet. So really, when you live in a smaller space, you do have to get really inventive and creative when it comes to finding places to store stuff. I want to take one moment to tell you about something that I have been recently researching, which is being in my midlife 42 years old. It's very common to reach out to a healthcare provider about perimenopause or menopause and not get any help or get brushed off as if there is nothing wrong with you. If your body feels different lately, maybe you're having weight issues or you aren't feeling like yourself, you're not imagining it. And today's sponsor, MIDI Health, is designed to help women exactly through this stage of life. A very common experience is hot flashes, memory issues, and feeling emotional ups and downs that can ruin your whole day. MIDI is a virtual care clinic built specifically for women going through perimenopause, menopause, and everything that comes with midlife. And honestly, it's great for women who are starting to notice the early signs and want to stay ahead of it. Their clinicians take the time to listen and build a personalized care plan around you, because women's health isn't one size fits all. They offer virtual visits for perimenopause and menopause, mood and memory, weight, skin, hair, and more. Aging well doesn't mean doing it alone. It's about having the right team, the right data, and the right care. And that's exactly what MIDI offers. Their clinicians can order lab tests, review results, and adjust your plan based on your goals. When appropriate, they can prescribe medication for hormonal and non-hormonal support, even partnering with your other doctors when needed, and your visits can go way beyond the basics. It's empowering to work with clinicians that truly understand menopause and can offer clear guidance. Booking is easy. Create your account, enter your insurance, share your symptoms, and choose a virtual appointment time. And the results are impressive. Over 90% of MIDI patients report relief from symptoms like brain fog, anxiety, and hot flashes. There are no memberships or hidden fees, and MIDI bills your insurance just like any other provider. If support feels like the right next step for you, just click the link in the description or go to trymidi.com/Shannon Torrens to schedule a virtual visit and join the more than 200,000 women that trust MIDI with their midlife care. MIDI accepts insurance. This one builds on the last one, which is a lot of people forget about vertical space and they don't take advantage of all of that storage opportunity. So we stop right here at eye level with drawers and things, but you can add built-in shelves that go all the way to the top of a closet. Here's a real life example. I had my husband, who's a carpenter, luckily, add these shelves from the top of my closet all the way to the bottom. We were able to pick custom sizing, but we have the pins so we can adjust these as well. So if you have a way to add shelving vertically to take up as much space as possible, it helps a lot. This way I can organize and reorganize whenever I feel, and this is a great use of space. If you don't have a closet, you can actually add cupboards that go floor to ceiling on, a back wall that you don't get to that often, that's kind of out of the way. Just add the storage that you don't actually have. It might make that room smaller, but if you're adding floor to ceiling storage, that will actually give you more space because now you can take all the clutter that is around your house and put it away. There are a lot of places like IKEA that have storage specifically for small apartments. They even advertise it like that. Next organizing mistake could be adding too many open shelves and not having a plan for what's going to go on those open shelves. If you are going to do open shelving, limit it unless you're very, very, very organized or you have a certain look you want for your home. I found when we had our open shelves in our kitchen, I had to designate exactly what was going to go on there and make sure that everyone else in my house wasn't just throwing things up there, because it ended up being a place where clutter could collect if I wasn't careful. I also made sure that if I put something up there, I grouped it in a way that looked attractive because we're seeing all that stuff. And I also added some baskets to corral things and kind of hide the unattractive items. So I think open shelving can work in some instances, but you have to be careful. Next problem is just not having a budget. So you run out, order a whole bunch of stuff, and then realize you've wasted a bunch of money on products that aren't going to work in your home. Coming up with a plan, deciding how much you want to spend, figure out what you want in each area of your home, and is that going to be extra shelving? Is it going to be containers? Is it going to be a drawer set? What is it that is going to help the most? And I would look for high quality items that can be used throughout the years, repurposed into different areas of your home where you might need it more or if you move. So definitely pause before you go out shopping, because it's so easy to see these amazing organized homes online and jump straight into buying without stopping to think about where everything's going to go and how it's going to work. Next problem is organizing without looking at your whole house and how everything flows together. Sometimes we can get so fixated on one tiny little area getting organized and not think about, is this item better in a different location? Is my home flowing in a good way? Is everything set up in a way that's going to function for everyone in our house? So I would just suggest mapping out your home. You could do a little drawing and just think about where you enter your house, where things should be dropped, where things should go in your bedroom, and then think about how you've stored things forever, and is that where it should still be stored? I know when we first moved in here, I put all of our linens in this closet that is right out this door. It's the bigger closet. And then I realized that it wasn't near the bathroom, so it didn't make sense. Then I reorganized everything in a way that made way more sense to put the towels and stuff in the smaller linen closet, the ones that we used all the time, put the backup stuff into the bigger closet that we weren't getting to as often. So there's just, sometimes you got to live in a place for a while before you can figure this out. But I do think if you can draw out a little map and, put X's where you are using those areas the most and where you need the most storage, it can help a lot to pre-plan stuff. And this will save you a lot of time and money shopping and having to return things. So make a plan and then figure out where your organizational systems can be used the best. The next mistake I've seen is everyone trying to make things look pretty, but not realistic. And I know all of these are very similar, but this one really makes sense because a lot of us see these beautiful Pinterest pictures or Instagram images of homes that are really organized, color-coded, but is that realistic for your family or for you and your roommates or whoever you live with? You have to think about, are we going to actually do that? Is this a waste of time? The fix for that, I feel, is, again, think about how you use your home and, what you do in your home, how you come in and out of your home, all of those things, and come up with a plan. Don't just copy what other people are doing. Make something realistic for your life. So for instance, I have 3 kids, and it would not be realistic for me to think that I'm going to have a pantry that's going to stay color-coded. And I personally just don't want that responsibility. I don't want to have to get annoyed at people if they're not putting something back in the right section. Make it easy on yourself to come up with a realistic way of storing things in your home and something that will be doable for you and your family. I know for us, we have an issue with shoes. I've tried to make it as easy as possible. I'm not saying it solved the problem, but I've put baskets into my kids' rooms, so it's very, very easy for them to just throw the shoes in there. Yes, they could be organized better. We could have them on like a neat little shelf, but I know they would never do that. I know that they are willing to throw them in a basket, so that's what I do. And it makes it a lot easier for me because now I'm not having to either tell someone, go do this, go do that, and also I'm not having to do it myself. So come up with something realistic for your home. Next is, don't make organizing too difficult. It's got to be easy or nobody will actually do it. So the fix on this is pick bins that you know are easy to deal with. Make sure that if you are using an area all the time, it's a bin that is easy to put things in and get out of. One example I have is my husband is tall and he's got a lot of things that he keeps in his pockets, but he empties those out every time, he comes in the house from when he's shopping or whatever. And so he's got to drop his wallet, his phone, his keys, his sunglasses, and all of that needs a place. I don't want to see all those items scattered across the counter. So what we did was we came up with a basket that sits on top of the fridge and it's open, but it still looks nice. So he can easily reach it, drop his stuff in there without even thinking. And we know where everything is always, but it's not too difficult. If I made a storage area where he had to have a bin for each little item, he would never do it. It would never get done. So definitely make it easy on yourself. Don't come up with organizing systems that are so difficult to keep up with that you just end up forgetting it and giving up. Next is skipping the labels. I know I have fallen into this category before. And what I like to do is I label some stuff and I don't label other things. So things I use all the time, I know what's in there. I don't label that because I know if I'm going to have a bin that has my purse in it and my sunglasses, I don't need to label that because I'm using it every day. It's obvious to me. I do need to label bins that I don't use that often. So in my office closet here, I had a bin where I put all of the extra school supplies for my kids, the backup stuff that, if they need a pencil or a pen, whatever, and I put it into this bin. I forgot what bin I put it in because they're all solid bins and I was having to pull out each bin every time. It's not that one, not that one, not that. So I finally told myself, why am I making this so difficult? Just put a label on there. I took a piece of clear tape. I wrote school supplies on it, as easy as that, added it to the bin. And now I don't have to look through every bin. I can just go straight to that one. And I don't mind having a label on that because I don't see it. I have a covering over this closet, so I don't need to look at that and be annoyed at seeing a label. So it comes down to your personality. Whether you like looking at labels or you don't will really determine whether you use them or not. But I realized that in closets, where I don't have to see it all the time, I don't mind having labels, and it actually does help with staying organized. Next is letting all the small stuff take over. So you might have a drawer, and that would be a great place to put all your small stuff. But instead of organizing it, you just throw everything in there, and that ends up making it a junk drawer. So what I've done and what I think helps a lot is to just find some way to organize that. It could be a tray with all the little compartments in it. It could be a series of little boxes, even cardboard boxes that you keep and, can cut up the right size and put your stuff so it's all separated. Another great way, and my family loves doing this, my mom and dad do this all the time, baggies, Ziploc baggies. They will just put rubber bands in one. They'll put something else in there. You can write on there what it is and just find a way to separate all the little things and keep them somewhat organized to avoid making every drawer of small stuff just another junk drawer. This is a huge organizing mistake that I see a lot of people making online, in videos, and even in real life, which is organizing stuff that actually should be decluttered. So I talk a lot about decluttering. I didn't want to start off with this one, but I really think this is probably the most important one, which is try to figure out if you actually need the stuff that you're organizing. Sometimes we spend time and money getting organizers for items that should actually be decluttered. So always, ask yourself before you start organizing, do I actually need this thing? Am I still using it? When's the last time I used this item? All those questions will help you decide if you should just declutter the item or if you should spend the time and energy trying to organize and find a place for those items to go. Always declutter first before organizing. That is like the number one rule in my book. Anytime I start to think about an organizing project, I first think, is this something that should actually be decluttered? And do I have too much stuff in this area to begin with? Next is not coming up with an organizational system for each person in your house. Everybody's different. I know I don't like to see the stuff, like I said, I don't want to see clear bins. My kids are better having clear bins. That way they can find exactly what's in there without having to open the lids. So if we have a crayon bin, they could see the crayons right through the side of the bin. Color pencils, markers, and they don't have to be opening bins and shifting bins around. They also have open bins. This again helps my kids to, organize really fast and makes it really easy for them. We open a bin, we throw the toys in there. We know those are the toy bins. We don't have to, hyper sort things. That's another thing that we do. We have this shelf. It's from IKEA. It has the bins in it. And I don't organize each bin. I don't say this bin is for only this and this. If they wanted to do it, that's fine, but they don't. So we just throw all the toys in there and they know that's where they go if they want to find something. Make it easy for each person in your home. I know I like to be more hyper organized. So I have things, like I said, labeled in my closet. I have bins for specific little things that I want to keep separated, but that would never work for my kids and it would never work for my husband. So I think it's really important to come up with a system that works for each person in your home, and don't try to make everyone in your house organize the way you like to organize. And that's a struggle sometimes for people like, me that, want to keep everything super organized. But I've realized over time that it's a waste of my time to try to make other people, stay organized the way I like to, because it doesn't work for them. So coming up with a specialized system for each person is really the way to go. Next is going out shopping for bins and organizers, but not measuring the space that they're going to be going in. Do not do that. Make sure you measure first before you go out shopping. I learned this over the years the hard way, which is thinking, oh, you know what? I need 5 bins for this cupboard. And then I didn't measure. I didn't look at how much space was from, the bottom of this shelf to the top of that shelf, the depth, the whole thing. Didn't measure, go out, go shopping, get stuff, come home and realize it doesn't work. It doesn't all fit. About 2 years ago, we redid my boys' shared room. We added a whole bunch of shelves in their closet. And what I did was I measured, I wrote them on a piece of paper. I went online first because I knew I was going to go to Target to find these really affordable plastic containers. And they are still working, by the way, but I measured all of the space and I went online first. I measured the container to make sure that I could fit, 3 across. I wanted to make sure I could utilize and fit in as much as possible. I measured all of that first, went online, took the measurements online. Then when I went into the store, I took my measuring tape with me just to double check that it was the right depth, because sometimes online they give you measurements and then when you get in there, it's hard to find those exact containers and they're not always labeled really well with the measurements. So I just wanted to make sure. At one time, long time ago, I was in Home Goods and I brought out my measuring tape because I was looking for a certain size basket to fit a shelf in the kitchen. And I remember this guy came up to me and he said, oh, that is so genius to bring a measuring tape with you. And I said, well, I've learned this over the years that it's better just to bring my measuring tape with me so that way I can measure and find exactly what I need instead of having to try to guess, which can be a lot harder when you're not seeing the area and space, right there in front of you. So always measure before you go shopping, try to figure it out if you can online before you go out shopping, and then go and take your measuring tape with you because you might find an additional container the right size, in a different area that you weren't thinking about. So measure first before you buy. Next is getting totally overwhelmed with everything and not even starting. This can happen with organizing, it can happen with decluttering, it can even happen with cleaning. Just the thought of it's too overwhelming. So I always like to start small. Think about your home, but don't overthink it. Jot some things down, start in one area, maybe pick one room and start there, one closet. I like to declutter first, then figure out what is needed, how everything will work best. And, are the items that are in that area, should they stay in that area? Should they go somewhere else? Measure and then just go get the containers. Worst case scenario, you can return the containers. You can always start again. You can always repurpose the containers. You can always move things around. So try not to get completely overwhelmed and just start somewhere. I feel like baby steps is really the way forward, and try to start when you can, when you're motivated, and start small. It always starts that snowball effect that really helps everything get going and can turn into organizing your whole entire house. If you are new, you can hit the subscribe button to join my channel. I'd love to have you, and you can click right here to continue watching videos. I will see you in the next one. Bye.